Hey guys, so I want to make a new updated video about my gear and everything because the one I have before this video are kind of outdated now. I mean, there's still good gear to get and everything for beginners, but I've gotten some better stuff, which is kind of like best in slot and just improved my DPS by a long shot. So I'm still using the Blessed Horns. I still use that, but I do switch when I'm not doing the AoE. I switch to the Sky Blazer because of the combat advantage. You get over 7% on one target, which is great for bosses. So I do switch to this for bosses. And then I pretty much use this for AoE. The Bone Devil, I always use this. And then for the Lion Guard, I use this for everything also. Now here's what's changed. So I use the Mirage daggers. Very, very good. This is a huge DPS boost right here. Very good set. The best there is right now. And then to get this set, I'm going to show you where to go right now. So to get that set, the Mirage set, you have to go to the River District. So you're going to have to do this campaign, unlock it, and then go here. And then when you come to the zone, there's a front gate, and then you're going to come all the way over here. And then right where this water fountain is, to the left, this is where you get your weapons from. Now, if you just started the campaign, it's going to take you a little bit to get the weapons first. So these are where you get the weapons from, as you can see. The Mirage daggers right here. Now for my campaign, I have everything for the campaign, so these cost way less, but I think these are like $270 or something like that, and the other one's like $120. So it will take you time to grind for all this stuff, but these weapons are really worth it right now because they're very, very, very good. And then for AoE, I still use the Rusted Iron leggings for the 5% damage, and then when I'm fighting bosses, I use the Forest Guardians for the more combat advantage. And now my set has changed. So I use the Star Shard choker set pretty much for everything, AoE and single target. You can also use the Tethered Mantle set for single target also. It's very good too. You get 15% more damage when they're not facing you. So that's a very good set. So you can't go wrong with either or. But I like to use the Star Shard. And then the new rings I got is a Diamond Ring of Spite +3, which I got from the Vault of Stars. So I use these because it gives your melee damage or melee powers do 3% more damage, which is what all we do. So really good rings. And then for my shirt, I still use the Weatherwood for the AP gain because I like to have AP gain. And then I use the leggings of the Hild also because of the AP gain. So more AP gain, more damage I can do. And my artifacts have changed. I used all the storyteller sets. Yes, not everyone can get these right now. But if you have these, of course, this is definitely artifacts to have. And I use this for the boost also because it increases your damage by 5% when you use it. And plus you get everything else with it. And here's the other one. And I use this one. So I use these 3 storytellers. And if you can't get these, don't worry about it. Just use artifacts that you need for your stats. So, whatever you need. You need more power. You need more crit strike. You need more crit safety. Whatever it is you need, use them. And of course, this is to complete the set. And pretty much the power is the same. I still use the same powers. My AoE powers. Path of Blade, Smoke Bomb, Blade Flurry, and still use the same class features, same feats for AoE. The only thing that's different from my single target is I use Shadow Flurry for single target. I switch them. And of course, for single target, I use Lashing Blade. I always use Wicked Reminder and Assassinate. And the at-will is always pretty much the same. Sometimes I switch to Cloud of Steel if I really need it for like Vault of Stars for ice or whatever. But I pretty much use these. And same goes for my dailies. I use Shocking Execution for single target and then Whirlwind of Blades for AoE, and plus gives you a nice boost to damage. And then for my boons, it's pretty much the same thing, Bloodlust. And I use pretty much all the boons that I need for my stat. And of course, use just my boons, use whatever you need. I use power and then defense, and And my companion is the same. I use pretty much Xena for everything. I do switch to the Cold Iron War for single target, but other than that, I use Xena for everything. And of course, equipment gear, you use what you need, whatever stats you just need. And then here's my companion powers that I use. This is great for bosses, 11% damage versus bosses. I mean, how can you beat that? That's amazing. And then I put what I need for my stats, 7.5% more critical chance, and this gives me more combat advantage, more critical stance, more combat, and then more critical and more critical chance. And here's my mount power that I use for AoE. And then if I'm doing single target, I usually use like any power that I got that I can debuff the boss because it makes it easier for your team. My favorite one so far is Bat Swarm. Very good. Not only does it increase damage, but also debuff the boss. So, and of course, you just use whatever you need for your stats. I use power because my power was low. And I also did change my mount powers. So I changed my mount powers to 3 warlords. So the way it works, I get 20%, then it's 10%, then 5%. And it definitely did increase my DPS. I was only using 1, and I put 2 more on, and it definitely increased my DPS a good amount. I wouldn't say like a ton, but it did a good amount. And then I use this for more speed, because the thing is, if you're too slow in a dungeon, it's hard to keep up with your team, and you can't even do DPS because everyone just kills everything before you can. And as a DPS, your job is to kill things fast, not be falling behind. And then I got this one when you use a mount power. I receive a buff to all my ratings. But these 2 right here could be whatever you want. And then, of course, for these, your insignias, you just use what you would want for a DPS. You know, power, crit, combat. Oh, and then I do have my callers too. You know, I got the encounter powers. This one's the most important, and this one. So these 2 are pretty important because, you know, gives you more critical certainty and increases your encounter powers. Now these 3 you don't have to have. I got incoming healing, you know, so when they heal me, they can heal me more. And then stamina gain, so I can, you know, dodge easier, dodge more. And then this just increases my astral diamonds by 6%. Just give me more AD. So here's a quick look at my single target. So here's the Sky Blazer, like I said I used, and then the Forest Guardian boots. Everything else is pretty much the same, so I'm not gonna go all over it, all the same, just like my AoE build. There you go, there's my single target powers. Pretty much all the same. My feat's a little bit different for single target, like Skull Cracker and Shadow Flurry, but everything else is pretty much the same. And like I said, you can also use Tattered Mantle Set for the 15% more damage when the boss is not facing you. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and show my rotation that I use. I'm gonna show my single target first. So if you have any artifacts that buff you up, always use them first, because of course, if you buff yourself up, you're gonna do more damage. So of course, I'm gonna use my Storyteller, which will give me 5% more damage, plus everything else that comes with it, increases my AP and everything. So I'm gonna use that first. Use my little buffs. I always would use Wicked Reminder first, because if you use Wicked Reminder, the target damage takes more physical damage by 10%. So that's why I always use that first. And then always use, when you use Stealth, always use Lashing Blade, because then it adds 50% additional criticality to attack. Then boom! And then Assassinate. So with Assassinate, you do more damage if you're facing behind, if you use it behind the boss. So if you can, try to use it behind the boss, and boom. So when you use Stealth also, after using Lashing Blade, and as you can see right here, you deal 10% more damage for 5 seconds after leaving Stealth. So use Wicked Reminder, which do more physical damage, Stealth, Lashing Blade, and now you're going to do even 10% more damage, Assassinate. So I mean, and also if you hit him behind, you do even more damage. So it's pretty simple. So pretty much buff yourself up with everything you have, depending on what you have. Everyone's builds is different. You know, just buff yourself up, whatever you got. Wicked Reminder to do more physical damage. Lashing Blade with Stealth always. And then now you got 10% more damage from Stealth, and then boom, Assassinate. And then, you know, you can use your... You can also use your daily first too, because of this feat right here. So if it says right here, when you use your daily power, your stealth meter is refilled for 5 seconds afterward. Your damage increases by 5%. So you can also use your, if you have it, use your daily. And yes, you can't always be perfect with your rotation, but that's the correct rotation to do to get as much damage as you possibly can. Now I switch to my AoE build, and I'm going to show you how I... So let's say there's a bunch of mobs here. I'm all the way from artifacts about to be done. I buff myself up. I use Path Blades, Smoke Bomb, and then always use Stealth with Blade Flurry. Boom, boom. And then I also use my Mount Power if I got it. Boom, that's more AoE. But when you use Stealth with Blade Flurry, you get to use it 2 times, and it does so much damage. And also, when you use Stealth, you gotta remember, after you enter Stealth and get out of it, you get 10% more damage. That means your second time using Blade Flurry is gonna do even more damage. So it's pretty much simple. You use Blade of Flurry, Smoke Bomb, Stealth, Blade Flurry, Blade Flurry. And now, if you have your daily power, it's also smart to use your daily power first, which is Whirlwind of the Blade, because it says increase your damage by 3% for each enemy hit up to the first 5. So let's say I use my daily, then Passive Blade, then Smoke Bomb, then Blade Flurry, Blade Flurry. So I do even more damage. And then for all my like utility slots, I still always use Dark Enchantment because of Forte. Everyone pretty much uses that. For my armor enchantment, I use Bark Shield for everything. I never take that off. I always use Bark Shield. Very good. So you can take hits like crazy pretty much. Of course, it has stacks, so it does run out, but it keeps you alive. That's all that matters. It really keeps you alive. And then for my offense slots, I use all Assassin's enchantments for all my offensive slots. And then for my weapon enchantment, I'm using Lightning right now, but as for AoE, I use Lightning for AoE. And I also use the Bell Thorn for single target. Now, if you use Lightning and you're having a hard time staying alive because you're hitting everything and the tank's not able to keep all the mobs on him, and plus you're hitting them first, which means they are going to attack you first anyways, then it's okay to switch to Balethorn because it does a lot of damage anyways also. Then for my defense slots, I just use either defense or more. I try not to put more HP because the more HP you have, the harder it is to get stacks for your horns. Well guys, I think that's about it. I pretty much showed you guys everything, how much has changed on my build since the last video, and how much, and show my rotation a better way. Pretty much the rogue still is very good, does insane amount of damage. And I'm pretty happy with this class. And I'm pretty happy with my DPS. Well guys, like always, keep being awesome. Have an awesome day. Bye guys.